I welcome you to Maryland Washington Minority Company's third quarter members meeting. Thank you for coming, and the purpose of this meeting is to keep you informed, to educate you as to what's going on in Baltimore City. Believe it or not, Freddie Gray, the city is a hotbed for development and opportunities. We have apartment buildings that have broke the ground in downtown. That's going to be 36 stories on the 300 block of West Baltimore Street. How many of you knew about that? That is a shame. We have other office buildings conversions about to take place. We have a 48-story building that's going through the design at BDC that has received approval. It has to be elevated now above sea level because we do have the opportunity to flood in this area. They've passed that. The developer is getting financing, and that building is going to go up in the next 12 months, or at least break ground. We have private developers like Kevin Plank and Scott Plank and their Sagamore development that are asking for TIFs. How many of y'all know what a TIF is? Raise your hand. A TIF is it's a financing instrument that developers crave because it helps leverage the amount of equity that they put in initially. And when they ask for TIFs, what does that mean? It means we got to have minority and women business goals. That's number one. That's number one. We also have David S. Brown. We have Michael Beatty Development. They're breaking ground or about to break ground on projects. We have BGE's Focus 25, the most unique, empowering training program ever to hit Maryland, and I would say the Mid-Atlantic region and perhaps the nation, to empower minority and women-owned businesses to learn how to do business, to negotiate contracts, to learn how to be safe. It's never happened before. We have, which you'll hear about later, Johns Hopkins coming on board with Hopkins Local. I mean, when you hear about that program, it's gonna blow you away. And the reason I call it the flow down. Their largeness is going to require those doing business with them to procure with women and minority business to the tune, I heard, of 40%. Never been heard of before, but it's happening right here in Baltimore City. In and around the city, for those of you who know about Lexington Market, I think that's almost a 200-year-old market. It's a $30 million renovation project planned. It's being planned right now. The prime contractors are being evaluated to determine, and I understand that the teams are coming in with minority, majority, JV participation. Never before has this been done. Cross Street Market, the Plank brothers are getting involved. That's gonna be $140 million. They're coming out of the sky and they're gonna put a green garden on top to grow vegetables year round. It's never been heard of in Baltimore, but it's about to take place. Baltimore's Gateway. How many of you know where Baltimore's Gateway is? Raise your hand. No, you know Baltimore's Gateway. If you come in and off of 295, we call it the BW Parkway, and you hit Russell Street, and you see the Horseshoe Casino, well, we call that Horseshoe Boulevard now. All of those little industrial places are being converted into fun places, to entertainment. I guess we gotta entertain ourselves if anything else. But these are the opportunities that you can get involved in. The Baltimore City School Construction Project. Gosh, Stephanie Rawlings, she created that $1.2 billion program to do what? To create at least 17 new schools and 24 major renovations. Well, the first 11 opportunities have gone out. We have some of the contractors who won on that. They're here this morning. And now more than ever, and I raise my right hand, now more than ever is the time to get certified as a Baltimore City minority or woman contractor. Why? Because on most of these projects, if you're not, you won't be able to take advantage of it if you're not city certified. Now, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this morning, our members, our guests, our prime corporate partners, and speakers. We have a few rules for this morning because we have a tight schedule and we have several hours to get through it. And the only way that we can do that is when our speakers are called up. They will offer their presentations, and then afterwards, we'll hold the questions until the end of the program. In addition, I hope you have dropped your business cards at the registration desk, because we'll have raffles to give away gift cards from Starbucks, iTunes, Home Depot, Subway, and Dunkin' Donuts. Now, without further delay, I'd like to ask our first speaker, Mr. David McGlone, Deputy Secretary of the Maryland Department of Labor and License and Regulation, to come up and provide his presentation. David?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Wayne, and thank you, everyone, for coming. I wanted to point out three of my staff members who accompanied me today and make sure you get a chance to talk with them after the program. I have our Chief of Procurement, Leticia Thomas. Leticia, you can wave your hand. My MBE Coordinator, Alan Robinson, and my Communications Deputy Director, Summer Goodman. And they will be here after the program to give you a chance to ask questions. When Governor Hogan came into office, he laid down four simple principles that he asked us to govern and administer by, and those were fiscal responsibility, economic growth, government reform, and customer service. And I think those are four tenets that have served us well. One of the things that we do in the Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation, most people know us as the elevator guys. That's the first thing they see are those elevator stickers. Well, to that end, we do inspect elevators. We've are responsible for over 22,000 inspections annually. In addition to elevators in our Labor and Industry Department, we inspect boilers and pressure vessels, over 52,000 of those. Amusement rides, over 6,500 amusement rides. When you go to the State Fair, those rides are all inspected by our inspectors. DLLR handles the Maryland Occupational Safety and Health Program, responsible for safety training and safety compliance throughout the state of Maryland, providing for safe workplaces for Marylanders, and many of you are familiar with that. Also within DLLR, we do a lot of licensing, which is in our middle name. Within the Division of Financial Regulation, we issue over 14,000 licenses. Those licenses are issued to a variety of financial occupations, such as mortgage lenders and debt management professionals. Also, we house the Occupational and Professional Licensing Division, and this covers 24 different occupations: architects, engineers, CPAs, real estate professionals, cosmetologists. All of those have licensing fees, and one of the initiatives that Governor Hogan put in was a reduction in the fees that Marylanders would see. To that end, he had 8 agencies go back and look at all the fees that they charged their licensees and other customers. And in all, he was able to find over 100 different fees that could be reduced. In DLLR, in our Occupational and Professional Licensing Division, real estate brokers and professionals had a reduction of just about 10%, on their annual fees. Appraisal management companies, they had a $500 reduction in their annual fee. Home improvement contractors saw a reduction in their contribution towards the guarantee fund. In financial regulation, mortgage loan originators saw a reduction in fees. The combined savings for all Maryland businesses, over 59,000 license holders, saw a combined savings of just over $1 million in the annual fee reductions. Significant savings, money going back into the pockets of Maryland workers and employers. One of the commitments, I think we all know the story of commitment when we talk about the the chicken, the cow, and the pig. Dollar has been committed towards Minority Business Enterprise Program. As you know, in 1978, the legislature enacted a law that required all state agencies to participate in a program, the MBE program, that enabled economically disadvantaged businesses an opportunity to get on state contracts. The current goal is 29% for MBE contracts across the state. Dollar has participated fully in that. We've, out of $30 million in contracts that we awarded in state fiscal year 15, we awarded 9.3% to primes and subcontractors, a total goal of over 31%, a true commitment to the MBE program. What types of contracts are these at DLLR? They are a variety. We have both service contracts, many IT-related contracts for IT services and IT equipment, maintenance service contracts, supplies, other equipment that we purchase. We have some contracting opportunities available, not on any large scale. Mostly it's maintenance, but there are opportunities. So we encourage, and that's why I encourage all of you to talk to the staff afterwards. We've got some literature that we will hand out up at the table, and you can get a little idea of who to call at DLLR. One of the important things is that you've got plenty of numbers and plenty of information in that to get an idea of who Dollar is, what we do, and how we can deliver the services to Marylanders that they need. The governor was adamant about his commitment to customer service and fiscal responsibility, giving back to the various stakeholders that make up the voting electorate in Maryland. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you this morning and encourage you to contact us and use our services because we are here working for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I can say as a business person, I am extremely pleased with some of the rollbacks, or the regulations and fees that the Hogan administration, particularly Governor Hogan, has implemented. I want to thank you. Next on the program, I'd like to bring up our next speaker. Prior to that, though, I'd like to introduce him and just give you a brief understanding of who he is. Our next speaker is Mr. James E. Page, Jr., Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer of Johns Hopkins Medicine. Mr. Page currently serves as the newly appointed Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer for Johns Hopkins Medicine. And in this role, he is responsible for diversity-based initiatives for the medical center, the medical school, and the greater hospital network. Prior to this role, Mr. Page served for 4 years as Assistant Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer at Cincinnati's Children's Hospital and Medical Center. Mr. Page also served on the Corporate Advisory Board for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation in Washington, D.C. He holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of Texas at Austin and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in computer technology from Purdue University. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the gentleman who will discuss Hopkins Local, Mr. James E. Page, Jr.
Thanks a lot, Wayne. I really appreciate that. So who am I? Like Wayne said, I'm James Page. It's a new role here at Hopkins. I'm the new Chief Diversity Officer. That means that all aspects of diversity I am involved with for Johns Hopkins Medicine. That includes our suppliers as well as our patients, community, employer, patients, and our employees. I am a native of Indianapolis, Indiana, and got into this work after about a dozen years as an engineer at Dell Computer Corporation. From Dell, I moved to a small hospital system in Pennsylvania and served as their Chief Diversity Officer. A number of years after that, I moved to DaVita, which is a country country's largest dialysis organization, served as their chief diversity officer, and after that was at Cincinnati Children's, would have been there for a while, but Hopkins asked me to consider this role, and this one I happily engaged in. And why do I tell you all that? I've been with two companies that have been members of the billion-dollar roundtable and have been very serious about our relationship to our community and our suppliers. And it is no different here at Hopkins. This work is important because when we do this work within healthcare, we're not just talking about doing things that make people feel good, but we're doing things that make a difference, things that save people's lives. And as you come and hopefully become partners with us, you'll embrace this idea of doing work not only because it helps with the bottom line, but you are truly making a difference when you partner with us. One of the things that I also did when I moved here to Hopkins was really look at the history of this organization. And it's really fascinating when you look at the work and testimony of Mr. Johns Hopkins. Mr. Johns Hopkins died about 125 years ago or so. Before he died, his family decided to set free all of their slaves, and it really left them in financial ruins when they did that. In his last will and testament, Mr. Hopkins stated that Mr. Hopkins despised all forms of sectarianism and bigotry. In addition to that, while he was alive, he gave $2,000 a year for an orphanage that was focused on the well-being of colored children at that time. Going forward, he also, when he decreed the creation of Johns Hopkins Hospital, he said that all people will be welcome with an emphasis on people of color. Finally, one of our essential individuals for the founding of Johns Hopkins was Mary Elizabeth Garrett. She stated about 120-some years ago that in order for Hopkins to receive the final funds that made available our ability to open our doors, that women be admitted on the same term as men. Now, why do I tell you all this? I say this because at Johns Hopkins, it's not a question of whether or not we should be doing diversity, or do we know how to do diversity, or do we know how to create inclusion. The bar has been set, and the bar was set 120-some years ago. The question that I constantly ask our leaders are we living up to the bar that was set 100-some years ago by our founders? And unfortunately, we are not always achieving that bar that has been set. So one of the bold initiatives that we have decided to do here at Hopkins is that we announced last week the creation of Hopkins Local. Now, what is Hopkins Local? It's an initiative focused on the ability to hire, retain, and recruit the best and brightest employees, build and also contract with people that are the best vendors in our area. We have committed to $6 million over the next year invested within Baltimore. We also are going to be focusing on 40% of our hires in the next upcoming years will be people of color from zip codes that are in need within our community. Now, a lot of these initial jobs are entry level, but again, if you go back to what I said about the ability to recruit, retain, and develop, these are times that our folks can come into the organization at an entry level, perform, and if they so desire and if they perform at that level, continue to work their way up the chain and become a valued member of our leadership team. I really want to commend Dr. Rothman, who is our dean, Mr. Peterson, who is the president of the hospital system, as well as President Daniels for their bold vision in doing this. We take seriously our responsibility as one of the largest employers in Baltimore and in Maryland. We take seriously our ability to create wealth within the communities within Baltimore and also provide opportunities. We want to work with you. Ken Grant is in the corner back here. He is our Vice President of Procurement. I'm sure many of you know Ken, but he is also very serious about this work, and we really look forward to the opportunity to leveraging the unique skills you bring as diverse contractors and helping us achieve our vision. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, James. That was some history that I don't think we knew. Definitely, I didn't know. And I feel even better to know that the Hopkins founders had a conscience. I would like to call up Mr. Ken Grant, Vice President of General Services for Johns Hopkins Hospital, and Vice President of Supply Chain Management for Johns Hopkins Health System, to come up to the podium. I'd like to recognize Ken for his longtime support, not only to MWMCA, but to the minority business overall. Thanks for hosting today's meeting and luncheon to follow. There will be a luncheon to follow. Also, I'd like to commend your staff, Ken, that have helped us plan this event, been so kind and very responsive. But without people like Ken in strategic roles, none of these things would be happening at Johns Hopkins. I thank Ken for his vision, and he has set the tone with his staff to be an effective leader, and he is helping Hopkins to become, once again, the #1 healthcare provider in America. Ken?
The Maryland-Washington Minority Companies Association hereby recognizes Johns Hopkins Health System for hosting MWMCA's 2015 Fall Quarterly Members Meeting. Thank you for supporting MWMCA, its members, meeting presenters, and guests. Your contributions and outreach to minority and women-owned firms is appreciated. Signed, Wayne R. Frazier Sr., President of MWMCA.
Thank you.
The mayor is scheduled to join us this morning, and when she arrives, we will give her her time. But in lieu of having the mayor here, we have the person next who I most admire in Baltimore City government, because he has control over setting goals on projects, and he can get companies certified with the stroke of a pen and a little investigation, or decertify you. That's a lot of power. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring up Mr. Courtney Billups, who is the Chief of Minority and Women Business Opportunity Office of Baltimore City Law Department. And Courtney wants you to come, if you're not certified, come on, get certified here in Baltimore. Mr. Courtney Billups.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank Wayne Frazier for another opportunity for us to get together to talk about opportunities for small minority and women-owned businesses. As Wayne said, I'm the Chief of the Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office for the City of Baltimore. My primary responsibilities are, first, certifying minority and women-owned businesses for the City of Baltimore. Secondly is goal setting on contracts on a contract-by-contract basis. And then finally, compliance. Wayne wanted me to primarily speak this morning about the certification process. Can I ask how many folks are here currently certified with the City of Baltimore as minority or women-owned business? Fantastic, fantastic. And I would encourage all of you to get certified with the City of Baltimore if you're within our metropolitan statistical area. We do not accept Maryland Department of Transportation certification. You have to be certified with the City of Baltimore. And again, I don't have to explain to you the value of multiple certifications, whether it be at the state level, local level. The Department of General Services at the state has a Small Business Reserve Program, which is a set-aside program for small businesses. So I certainly have always encouraged multiple certifications, and certainly would like you to consider getting certified with the City of Baltimore. I'm going to briefly go through the certification process. First, what is a minority business enterprise? We have a few categories. A minority business enterprise is defined as a business enterprise owned and controlled by an African American, Hispanic American, Asian American, or Native American. In fact, on construction contracts and architecture engineering contracts of over $1 million, we're able to set sub-goals for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, and Native Americans. So they're actually sub-goals on those types of contracts. The City of Baltimore, as opposed to the state of Maryland, has two distinct and separate goals with respect to minority business enterprise participation and women's business enterprise participation. So in other words, we have a 27% goal for minority business enterprise participation, and that is separate and distinct from our 10% goal for WBE participation on a contract. A woman's business enterprise is defined as a business enterprise owned and controlled by a woman, which includes non-minority females as well as a woman who is part of any of the above-mentioned categories that I have already listed. So you can be certified as a minority business enterprise, you can be certified as a woman-owned business enterprise, you can also be certified as a minority and woman-owned business enterprise if you qualify. It's also important for you to know that because of our disparity study that was conducted in 2014, we looked at, let me take a step back. We looked at our metropolitan statistical area, which is essentially our market area. It's Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Anne Arundel County, Carroll County, Harford County, Howard County, and Queen Anne's County. You must have an operating business location in one of these jurisdictions in order to be certified with the City of Baltimore. That's not to say we don't certify out-of-state firms, but you are required to have an independent operating business in one of these jurisdictions. We do not certify virtual offices. We do not certify offices where there does not appear to be any business activity. You must have an operating office in one of these 7 jurisdictions in order to be certified by the City of Baltimore. Some general definitions of what are an MB or WBE. The minority and/or woman must own at least 51% of the company and have operational and managerial control. Operational and managerial control is very, very important. The 51% ownership certainly is a prerequisite, but what we investigate is that there's actual operational and managerial control. And let me caution you, for some of your bylaws for corporations, for some of your operating agreements for LLCs, you need to make sure that there are no restrictions in those agreements so that the non-minority partner who's got 49% or less control does not have the ability to restrict the incidence of ownership or management of the minority or woman owner or manager of that business. That's very, very important because it's not uncommon for us to deny certification because the operating agreement or the bylaws of a corporation restrict the ability for the 51% owner to make operational and managerial decisions. What's also important is you have to be in operation for 12 months before you apply for certification. That doesn't mean just opening a business. That means actually having some business activity for 12 months prior to that. Unfortunately, we do not certify dreams. We certify businesses. So you need to please have some business operational activity, even if you're reporting a loss. Make sure that there is some business activity for that prior 12 months. We look at tax returns, financial statements to determine that it is an actual operating business. It also has to be controlled by a minority or woman 12 months prior to applying for certification. It's not uncommon that we have a husband and wife who are 50-50 that decide to change their ownership to 51-49% and then apply for certification. You will not be certified under that scenario. That majority owner must have been in operational control of that business for at least 12 months prior to applying for certification. And again, I spoke to the need of having a, sorry, is my PowerPoint running while I'm talking? Or is that me? Okay. You know, when I first started representing minority business enterprise, I had the pleasure of working for former Maryland Congressman Perrin J. Mitchell, Anthony Robinson, who is in the back of the room, who's now with the Minority Business Development Agency, and Franklin Lee, who is really the architect of state and local business programs across the country. And when I first got to law school, they thought I was a whiz because I knew how to use a computer, and they were still writing things down. Well, I've got 3 kids now, and they just laugh at me. They laugh at my phone, they laugh at my laptop, so please forgive me as I muddle through technology. I'm finally feeling my age. One of the things that a couple just common issues that we have with certification that unfortunately either delay the certification or cause the certification to be denied. We look at documents that have to be completed for that certification. And forgive me, just listen to me run off at the mouth and kind of glance at this presentation, I guess. The affidavit, it is not uncommon for the affidavit not to be notarized. You can get every piece of documentation, something very, very simple as the application not being notarized. And unfortunately, we have to deny certification because that affidavit has to be witnessed. Okay. Give me a hand, empty. Okay. Another thing, we have a checklist, a very specific checklist of documents that must be submitted in order for your application to be considered. And unfortunately, we'll have documents that need to be provided that are not provided. It's very simple. You've got two columns, applicable, non-applicable. Sole proprietorship, you're not going to have bylaws of articles of incorporation, LLC, you're going to have an operating agreement. These documents are required. And we find very common, if documents are required and the individual submitter does not have those documents, they don't check either box and don't submit the information. That's not acceptable. Documents that are required must be submitted, because if they're not, then we are going to send you a letter requesting that additional documentation, and your application will essentially be in process. It's also important that you are certified for specific services. We do not use NAICS codes. The city has specific service codes, but we also capture the NAICS codes that are applicable for our internal database. And the reason why I say it's important for you to specify the particular services, because if in fact you are a subcontractor on a particular contract as a certified MBE, unless you are certified for the particular services that are listed on that statement of intent form for the contract, you cannot and will not be counted towards a participation goal. Therefore, the prime contractor is in jeopardy of not being compliant, and you will not be able to be counted towards that participation goal. So it's important when you're applying that you look at the service codes that the city has, you look at any applicable NAICS codes, and you put a description of services that you currently perform, not services that you outsource, not services that you subcontract, but services you perform with your own employees. So I spoke earlier that you can be certified as both a minority business enterprise and a minority business enterprise, but you can only apply your performance to one goal or the other. So in other words, you have to decide whether you're going to perform as a minority business enterprise or a woman-owned business enterprise. You cannot be counted towards both goals on the same contract. I'm happy to tell you publicly we have to talk about the 60 to 90 days, because like most agencies, that's what we say, 90 days. And most of you know it tends to take longer. Well, I'm happy to inform you that the City of Baltimore no longer has its historic backlog of applications. We have no backlog of applications at this time. We're processing applications within 30 days. Within 30 days, you will receive an approval letter and your certification. You will receive a denial letter, or you'll receive a request for additional information or a site visit. So within 60 to 90 days, you should receive some type of adjudication of your application. So again, I know it's historically, certifications have taken an extended period of time, but again, at the City of Baltimore, your application will be processed within 30 days. And if it's not, there's only one person to blame. Okay. So again, thank you very much for your time and attention. I will be here after the presentations. We've got some applications for certification in the back, but they're also available online. And as always, I've got an open door policy, both literally and figuratively, which means my door stays open even during lunch and even when I'm on the phone. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact my office. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Courtney. Courtney does a great job. I mean, he's spent a lifetime in civil rights practice and now into the whole MBE and the certification, and he's a blessing. He's a blessing to Baltimore City. Now, I understand our mayor has arrived. Is that correct? She's here. And I'd like to thank Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake for taking time out of her busy schedule to be with us this morning. Stephanie Rawlings-Blake was sworn in as Baltimore's 49th mayor on February 4th, 2010. In November 2011, she was elected to her first full term as mayor, receiving 87% of the vote in that mayoral general election. She served as City Council President from January 2007 to February 2010. She was first elected to the City Council in 1995 at the precious age of 25. She was the youngest person ever elected in the history of Baltimore City Council. Mayor Rawlings-Blake became the 73rd president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors in June 2015. Recently, Mayor Rawlings-Blake has decided not to seek re-election to a full second term in 2016, leaving many of us saddened. However, part of her legacy is that she has kept a sound fiscal management of Baltimore City. She's created revenues to pay for our aging water system. She's created the bond fund. I mean, no other institution, no other subdivision in the state has done this, uniquely going to the General Assembly, getting them to agree to back a $1.2 billion bond to redo Baltimore City Public Schools. Economic growth, she's just been fantastic on, and minority business protocol has been front and center. Ladies and gentlemen, happily, I give you our mayor, Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
Good to see you. Wayne, that was a wonderful and very generous introduction. Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I truly want to thank Wayne for your leadership as a president of the Maryland-Washington Minority Companies Association, for everything that you do to advocate for minority and women-owned companies. Your work is legendary in the state, and I'm very proud, and in the region, and I'm very proud to be here with all of you. Where are my cabinet members? Do I have any? Yeah, Christine. Oh, and Rudy Chow. You talked about the water system. You want to clap for Rudy now, too? Are we good, Mr. Chow? Director of DPW, and Christine Bivens with my Minority and Women-Owned Business Entrepreneur Office. And I want to thank the other members of my team who are here. Paul, it's good to see you, and all the work that you're doing with small business. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you just for a few minutes about a very important topic to me, and that's minority and women-owned business firms in Baltimore. One of my top priorities in my administration is ensuring that all businesses have the opportunity to compete and to succeed on a level playing field. Our small minority and women-owned businesses are the backbone of Baltimore's economy, and I remain committed to working every day to support these businesses and the jobs that they create for Baltimore's residents. As we look at the jobs that we've been able to create over the past 5 years, many of those jobs were created, or I should say most of those jobs were created by small business, so it's no mistake, and it's not by accident that we are here, that members of my administration are here to support the growing, as I said, the backbone of our growing economy. And that's really why I convened the Advisory Council on Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprise. Their report, A New Day, A Better Way, provided recommendations that will continue to enhance the city's MBE program and our small business inclusion efforts. I also formed the Coalition of Supplier Diversity and Inclusion to build upon the work of this Advisory Council. They also advise the city on matters related to inclusion, diversity, and they assist with implementing many of the Advisory Council's recommendations. The coalition, working collaboratively with city agencies, have taken on action items that will significantly improve the business climate for minority and women-owned businesses. A few of these include formation of my Mentor Protege program, the first of its kind initiative that will foster partnerships among successful large enterprises. This is something that Mr. Frazier is particularly interested in, correct?
You know.
Yeah, I got it. He toasted to that. Also, emerging small and minority and women-owned businesses. The establishment of the Urban Solar Task Force to develop a pilot program, action plans that utilize the best public-private partnership models to fully finance and promote large-scale installation of solar panels. And I can say that this is one of the programs that has so much promise to me as we continue to look for ways to be a more sustainable city, and we continue to look for ways to improve the quality of life for all of Baltimore's residents, to go and to hear from residents who are working with limited income and see that the change, that change that happens when they're able to save money on their energy bill, it means a lot to them. And while it might not be a lot to a lot of people, this program is helping Baltimore families, and I'm very grateful for that, because it's helping Baltimore families with their energy bills, but it's also helping because the solar panel installation is also a part of a workforce training program. So it's providing jobs, providing training, and it's just a big circle of growth for our city. So it's also, the program also is ensuring purposeful inclusion of small minority and women-owned businesses in this high-growth industry. We're collaborating to enact legislation to allow minority and women-owned business prime contractors to count their participation on contracts towards MBE and WBE goals. Unbundling contracts to allow for greater participation by small minority and women-owned businesses, especially as prime contractors, and continuing to work towards ensuring prompt payment of all city contracts, because we understand we have an obligation to pay our vendors in a timely manner for the services that they render. Of course, city government contracts are far from being the only way my administration is working to help small minority and women-owned businesses. The bully pulpit that I have at City Hall enables me to push private companies in our city to work toward developing inclusion goals that help lift everyone up. More significantly, for those projects that receive city assistance of some kind, I've worked to ensure that they include significant commitments towards MBE and WBE goals. We've seen the results of those efforts in such projects as our casino, and we're now seeing the benefit of that work in the development of Harbor Point, a project that Mr. Frazier was very instrumental in working with my administration on those goals, and I want to thank you very much. So before I conclude, because I did promise I would just take a few minutes of your time, I want to take a moment to specifically recognize Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Health System and President Ron Daniels for the recent announcement of their local build, hire, and buy initiative. The Hopkins local plan includes a major new commitment to MBE and WBE firms and has the potential to make a real difference in our city. And I applaud Johns Hopkins institutions for stepping up at this critical time in Baltimore. Thank you again, all of you, for the opportunity to talk to you about my commitment to women and minority-owned firms. I look forward to continuing to work with businesses large and small to ensure that the city continues the momentum towards fiscal sustainability and long-term growth, while continuing to strengthen our small minority and women-owned businesses. I can tell you that I was raised by someone who believed in inclusion, who believed that all of us, and particularly minority firms and women-owned firms, deserve a seat at the table, and he fought for those things viciously and aggressively. And one of the things that gives me a particular amount of pride as I serve in my work in public service is to be able to carry on that tradition, and to be able to do so with people like Wayne Frazier, with many of you, has certainly been one of the things that I've enjoyed most about my time in public service, because I know that it's more than about networking. And Jean, you just missed my shout out to Johns Hopkins, so somebody will tell you all about it. I did make a nice shout out and a thank you. But it's not just about networking. It's about wealth building. It's about legacy building. And the work that we're doing here, the jobs that we're creating, the opportunities that we are creating will have ripple effects for generations to come. And I know that you all understand that very keenly, and that's why you're here. So you have my renewed commitment to ensure that we continue this progress. I expect that, Wayne, you'll continue to hold me accountable for the progress that we say that we intend to make, and I look forward to our partnership as we grow Baltimore. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes. It's my honor. Doris, did we need to get centered? I want this to be forever. Now I'd like to thank our prime corporate partners, who consist of some of the top leading companies in Maryland, local and state agencies. Thanks for assisting us in supporting our mission in connecting large and small businesses to work together and being part of our journey. Thank you for attending, sharing information about upcoming opportunities, and being here to network with our attendees. We know you are truly busy, and supporting us and minority firms are important to you. When you hear your name, please stand and be recognized, and then you can be seated. First, William Fuller, ADP. Is he in the house? ADP is one of our corporate partners for payroll processing and HR benefits. Bob Ball, Baltimore County Public Schools, is again one of our, and we're having an event next week with them at Baltimore County Meet the Primes next Wednesday, the 14th, and we have over 100 exhibitors, contractors, and professionals from around the region looking to do business with you. We have Mary Jo Childs from Anne Arundel County Public Schools, formerly of the Board of Public Works in Annapolis. Mary Jo is the new Chief Purchasing Officer for Anne Arundel County. We have Chris Nfume from the Beatty Company who's here. Mr. Frank Kelly from BGE and the Focus 25 guy. Bridget Carter, all the way in from Chicago, from Caesars Entertainment. We have Reggie Jarvis from Centennial Surety Association. It's a bonding company that bonds a number of our companies. Mr. Marty Glaze from Commercial Group. Jeffrey Butler from Crawford Advisors, another HR solutions company. Mr. Michael Randolph from First Transit. Linda Graves from the Gilbane Building. Linda, thank you. Linda and Gilbane have won a number of the new projects here to rebuild Baltimore City schools. Carrie Lieberman from Grunley Corporation out of Montgomery County. There she is. James Harper from Hensel Phelps. There he is. Ken Grant, you saw him earlier. Mr. Jeff Hargrave from Mahogany. Fantastic CM company, local guy right here in Baltimore. Mr. Gordon Outlaw from the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. There he is, Gordon. We have James Benjamin from PK Law. We have Karen Barber and Chris Smith from the Barber Group. Mr. Randy Reynolds from the Maryland Department of Transportation. Ms. Sherry Branson from Montgomery County Department Office of Procurement. Charlie Partridge from Petco Holdings. Leona Charles, all the way up from Southern Maryland Electric Co-op, SMETCO. And they're getting on board with the whole diversity inclusion now. You want to see her before she goes. Mr. Bernie Lahat from WT, the Whiting Turner Corporation. Tawanda Livingstone, Tracy Edwards from Washington Suburban Sanitary Corporation, WSSC. And Mr. Keir Bankoff from Venable LLP, who wants to talk business with you. And if any of the prime corporate partners who are here today and have provided us with handouts that you'd like for us to provide to the guests, please see Ebony. Next, I'd like to bring up another corporate partner that represents one of the best real estate development companies in America, and surely here in Baltimore City, and that is Miss Beth Boots Workman. She is the Director of Operations from the Cordish Companies, and she will speak to you about what's excitingly going on down at the marketplace with the new development of the Spark, and that could be a location that if you're looking to move to Baltimore at a very economical and uplifting millennial. One thing I saw when I went down there, I don't know if it interests a number of you, but they have a place for you to have craft beer and a pool table, ping pong table, inside of the office space. That's the common area. That's not your office. Beth?
Thank you. Wonderful
Okay.
welcome. Good morning. Thank you. right, first of all, let me thank Wayne and Patricia for having me today. It is truly my pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. This is a rare occasion that I get to come out in public and talk, so it's truly a change of pace. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Beth Boots Workman. I am here today representing the Cordish Company and Spark. A little bit about the Cordish Company. It's a long-standing company with a history in the Baltimore area, dating back 4 generations to the early 1900s. It was started by Paul Cordish, who literally bootstrapped the then startup company itself and made it to the corporation that we know today. Throughout the generations, it's grown, but has remained true to the family core values, the values of quality, entrepreneurial spirit, and integrity. Does this not switch? Entrepreneurial spirit and integrity. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the entrepreneurial spirit and what it means to keep it in Baltimore. According to a recent report delivered by the CBRE, Baltimore's tech talent pool grew by 42% between 2010 and 2013, only being surpassed by San Francisco. Leading this is Maryland growing hub for the health tech driven by Johns Hopkins, the ed tech being driven by the University of Maryland, and the many innovative startups. Knowing these statistics, the Cordish Company knew how important it was to keep the innovators and startups in the Baltimore area. This led them to create Spark. So, what is Spark? You got a little bit of a preview from Wayne, but it is a new inspiring community for entrepreneurs, startup creators, developers. Basically, we accept everybody. It's equipped with co-working desks all the way up to office suites. It's located in a hub zone in the central business district, so it is equipped to you can get grants, and you can receive tax credits. We are co-working desks all the way up to office suites. We can take companies from 1 to 100. Some of the amenities that were already mentioned, craft beer system, gourmet coffee bar, shared kitchen, a lounge. So it's very much a collaborative and comfortable space environment. Spark is already operational in 1 floor of the Bernstein building, which is located in the offices of Power Plant Live. A 2nd floor will be delivered in late fall. We already are homes to a few companies: Black Label, Stack, Dream It Health, Fearless Solution. Most notable, a lot of those companies came from surrounding counties and other states, but more importantly, they now call Baltimore home, so we are bringing business back to Baltimore. That's basically where the Cordish Company came in, just realizing how important it was to give back to the community and make sure that we keep bringing the Baltimore business back and keeping it strong. So I'm being told to wrap up, so I will just share with you some real quick pictures, renderings. This is our lobby area. This is our new collaborative lounge area. You see beverages in the forefront. Some more shots of the lobby. So thank you for your time and attention this afternoon, or morning, excuse me.
Thank you, Beth. As you can see, this is the whole millennials, so some of us may be dinosaurs, but things are changing. And it's a great way, an exciting way to be collaborating with other companies of like minds here in the city of Baltimore. I'd like to move to entertain you for a moment with a viewing of our one of our creations, which is a Get Clip video. And we have, MWMCA has embarked on a mission to electronically market our members and clients to the world through our very popular marketing product called Get Clip, with a company representative telling briefly about the company, its products, services, and how to reach them. Get Clip allows a company to quickly and get in front of potential customers. Today, we would like to share with you one of our Get Clip videos from our prime corporate partners that includes a testimonial from a small business member that gave an unforgettable presentation at our spring breakfast. The company that we will showcase right now is Centennial Surety.
We are Centennial Surety Associates. Over the last 13 years, we have grown into the largest independently owned surety bond-only agency in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia market. We have access to over 25 markets. This market diversity enables us to provide bonds to contractors with various trades, experience levels, and financial makeup.
Since 1997, we have worked on some of the most complex construction projects in the Mid-Atlantic region. Working on tough projects require working with a surety company that specializes in bonding. I am proud to say that Centennial Surety Associates Inc. is my bonding professional. Bonding is all they do. 100% of their time is devoted to tailoring bonds to customers' needs.
Our client portfolio and experience includes general contractors, subcontractors, environmental and hazardous materials, subdivision, license and permit, and SBA guaranteed bonds. Our goal is to match your business with a company that will truly take the time to learn, support, and cater to your company's bonding needs. As you may know, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia marketplace has some of the highest minority participation goals in the country. Your company's ability to post bonds can be the determining factor in your eligibility to be awarded a subcontract.
Their bonding support has been a major factor in the success of my business. Centennial has consistently supported my business, and their bonding assistance has proven to be valuable.
My professional advice to companies searching for bonding is to be proactive. Establish a bonding program prior to needing a bond. If you already have a bond program in place, give us a call to make sure you are getting the best possible program your business qualifies for.
I strongly recommend Centennial to all new and seasoned companies because they respect my business, provide fair pricing, and project owners accept their bonds without question. Thank you.
We are proud to be honored as MWMCA's 2015 Best Bonding and Surety Specialist for Minority Business Enterprise in the region. My name is Reggie Jarvis, Vice President of Centennial Surety Associates, your construction bonding specialist, and Centennial wants to write bonds for your company.
We would love to discuss doing a video for you. Our next speaker, you'll definitely need bonds for, is a representative from the Baltimore City Public Works Department, which controls majority of the spending that goes on in physical spending in Baltimore City. He is the acting bureau head of the Bureau of Water and Wastewater for the City of Baltimore Department of Public Works, Mr. Kamasi Vines. Kamasi?
Very good, brother. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of our director, Mr. Rudy Chow, who's here with us, and the rest of the Department of Public Works, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. This morning, I wear two hats for the City of Baltimore. The first hat, which is very important, is as acting bureau head for the Bureau of Water and Wastewater, which is within the Department of Public Works. But also, I'm the chief of the Office of Boards and Commission, which is the pre-qualification arm for the City of Baltimore. So I'm going to go through the first half of this presentation talking about the capital improvement plan that we have for the Department of Public Works. But I'm also going to spend some time on talking about pre-qualification, which is also an important part of becoming a contractor or consultant for the City of Baltimore. So, Mr. Frazier has these kind of events, I hope you all do take every effort to take advantage of the opportunities at the Department of Public Works, as well as the other agencies with the City of Baltimore. We need good contractors and good subcontractors to perform the work we have to do, and we have quite a bit of it. So please feel free to ask me any questions, speak with me after this, and I'll help you the best I can. And you'll find that a lot of our projects start at $1 million and also go up to $100 million. So there's a lot of opportunities out there for some work for the city of Baltimore. So those of you who are familiar with our consent decree program, you're not going to be surprised to see that we're spending the majority of our improvement dollars in the wastewater program. As you can see right there, $511 million. And we'll be spending well over $1 billion to bring our sewer collection system into compliance with federal and state regulations. And we have done much of that work, but there's still plenty left to do. Likewise, our 4,000 miles of water mains needs to be repaired. Our finished water reservoirs will be converted to buried tanks, and we anticipate major upgrades to our water treatment facilities, and there are a lot of opportunities there. We're spending more on our surface water and stormwater infrastructure thanks to the dedicated stormwater remediation fee, and we will make much-needed improvements to our Bureau of Solid Waste facilities. You may already know that in August, we updated our rules by which architecture and engineering consultants must submit their invoices. I hope you read that information carefully, as it contains several important revisions and new requirements. Among the new requirements are overtime documentation, parking receipts, and the project closeout form. Properly submitting these requests will help you get paid sooner, which I know is very important to all of you here. Somebody said amen? If you have not seen it yet and need a copy, you can send an email to Department of Public Works Chief of Contract Administration, which is Ms. Tenora Houston, and the proper spelling of her name is on the screen. You may also call 410-545-1889 for questions about particular invoices. And if you like more information about pre-qualifying to bid on work, you can call me, and I'll deliver more information on this on that process shortly. So right here are just a sample. You probably can't see it too well of some of the projects we have in our pipeline. The first 6 projects here are in the bid phase. The second 5 projects are in the design phase. The remainder of the projects on this presentation are all in design. And on this slide, you see some of our stormwater projects. And the dates on the right are the anticipated dates at which the projects will be advertised. They are listed both by calendar quarters and by fiscal year quarters. We've just begun the second quarter of our fiscal year 2016. As I said before, we have projects stretching well into future years. In many respects, our water projects will never be finished. It's an aging infrastructure, and there will always be opportunities to improve on that infrastructure. With 4,000 miles of water mains between Baltimore City and Baltimore County, even if we replace or rehabilitate 40 miles of main per year, it will still take us up to 100 years to get all of them.
Start all over.
Exactly. And I have in my notes, and it will be then time to start over. So in a relative near term, there's plenty of work that we must do. And as you can see, our work is spread all over the city. Oh, let me go. Okay, I'm making one mention here of this. Okay, so you know the final project here, the Susquehanna transmission main valve replacement section. It's not a water main job, but a valve replacement on the transmission main that carries water from the Susquehanna. We've been fortunate in recent years to have abundant water in our 3 reservoirs and not to need water from the Susquehanna. However, I believe we must never be complacent, and we must keep our backup system in top working order. So switching hats now. Many of you, if you're in the construction space or design consulting space, you probably have come across the Office of Boards and Commissions and wanting to do work for the City of Baltimore. So I just want to spend a few minutes just talking about the Office of Boards and Commission. So what is it? No, it's not how you get on the Planning Commission. No, it's not how you get on the Rec and Park Board Commissions. It's the office that pre-qualifies all construction contractors and design consultants intending to do work for city contracts of $25,000 or greater. Before I spoke about works or projects that were specifically in Department of Public Works, the pre-qualification process applies to all city departments and all city construction projects and design work. And we also we advertise all of the city design projects. And it must be understood that the Office of Boards of Commissions recommends pre-qualification to the Board of Estimates, doesn't approve it. So we see your application, and we make a recommendation to the Board of Estimates, which is the city spending board. So Mr. Billups spoke earlier about certification, and just to help you understand a little better and not get confused, the difference between pre-qualification and certification. Certification, MBE, WBE, determines if any firm is a bona fide MBE or WBE. Pre-qualification verifies the experience and/or calculates the financial capacity of construction design firms. Okay? So certification, that's when you get checked as an MBE or a WBE for the city of Baltimore. Pre-qualification is when you've been verified and able to, and have the experience to do work in construction or design. And that applies to all firms regardless of designation, okay? And just for a little more clarity, when I say construction, when we use the terms, I'll explain a little later, about contractors and consultants, this is only for construction-related contracting. And with our consultants, it's only required for architects, engineers in the design space. So for contractors, we ask for at least 40 days in advance to submit your application to be pre-qualified. And as you see, a lot of the documents that are required in your application are pretty standard, and probably things you've already submitted to Mr. Billups for his office. And one important issue, or one important item for primes is you must be pre-qualified to buy a bid book for the city of Baltimore as a prime. You have to be pre-qualified. On the consultant side, it's even less requirements of documentation, things you probably have already submitted as you do work in other jurisdictions or other areas. And that pre-qualification is due at the time of the bid, both primes and subs. So contractors, it's pretty much the same thing for the consultants. It's a free application to work for the city of Baltimore. It has to be renewed annually. You'll get notifications via email on when your pre-qualification is about to expire and needs to be renewed. And special note for the contractors. Again, you have to be pre-qualified to buy the bid book, but for subs, you don't have to be pre-qualified until the actual work begins. And again, for consultants, pre-qualification pre-qualification is required at the time the bid is due. And just want to list really quickly the types of areas, just to give you a better understanding for contractors, what we look at as contractors, where you're doing sewer replacement, main replacement, demolition, hauling, plumbing, electricians. Those are the folks that we look at as contractors and being pre-qualified. On the consultant side, it's only architects, engineers, landscape architects, property line surveyors, line surveyors, and pretty much anyone in that arena. So if you have any further questions, you can go to our websites right here. The first website actually is where you can see all the projects that are listed, that are being advertised, and more information about the Planning Commission right here, the second link, and that's where you can see the capital improvement plans for all city agencies. And the third link right there is a link to the Office of Boards and Commissions if you have any further questions or want an application. And if you have any direct questions for Public Works, you can email us here or get my information after the presentation, and I'll be more than happy to help you with anything you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamasi. Next, I'd like to bring up a gentleman who is representing one of the, most fantastic developments that Baltimore City has ever seen. They've taken a piece of land that no one said they could build on years ago, and now coming out of the ground with their first project, the Exelon Tower, and about to break ground on another project, and then many, many, many more as the years go by. I'd like to bring up Mr. Marco Greenberg, VP of Development for the Beatty Development Group, LLC.
Thank you. I'm also a dinosaur when it comes to computers, so I apologize for that. So I just wanted to follow up on a couple of comments that Wayne made, and I find myself saying this all the time. I grew up in the Washington area, and I worked in DC for 20 years before moving to Baltimore, and comes as a surprise to a lot of people, but there's a heck of a lot going on in Baltimore. It's a great town. We love it. We love being a part of Baltimore's renaissance. And I encourage folks who aren't based in Baltimore and not normally paying attention to Baltimore to please come and see what's going on. It's all great. Again, my name is Marco Greenberg. I'm Vice President of BD Development Group. We are the real estate developers responsible for the Harbor Point project. Thank you for your very kind words, Mr. Fraser, about Harbor Point. This is a site plan of the property. Harbor Point is a 27-acre mixed-use development on the waterfront between Harbor East and Fells Point. Mr. Fraser mentioned the fact that a lot of people thought that property couldn't be developed, and that's because from 1845 to 1985, it was the site of a chromium processing facility. It was shut down in the mid-'80s. The property was remediated under a consent decree with the federal government in the state of Maryland, and it sat and nothing happened for a very long time. And a lot of people got the idea that nothing could happen on that property. However, I'll use the mouse here. The first building that was built on Harbor Point is this building down here in the lower right-hand corner. We call it the Thames Street Wharf Building. It was approximately $90 million. It's a 260,000 square foot office building, primarily occupied by Morgan Stanley and Johns Hopkins Medicine International. We also have our offices on the ground floor of that building, right down at the water's end. It's a great location, and we love to be there. The second project on Harbor Point, here's some photographs of the Thames Street Wharf, the Morgan Stanley building. We're very, very proud of this property right on the waterfront across from Baltimore's iconic Domino Sugar Plant. Second building on the property is the Exelon Tower. In 2012, we were fortunate to be selected as the headquarters location for Exelon Corporation out of Chicago. They acquired Constellation Energy and created this new requirement. And this project got under construction in early 2014. It is, if you come by the property today, you'll see that the tower is topped out in concrete and the glass curtain wall is most of the way up the building. It is 440,000 square feet of office space, 40,000 square feet of ground floor retail, and 103 apartment units wrapping a parking garage that holds approximately 750 cars. This is a $265 million project, including the surrounding infrastructure. About $30 million of that is in the surrounding infrastructure, which leads me to want to talk a little bit about what Mr. Fraser said at the outset when he asked how many people know what a TIF is. So I'll give you 2 minutes on TIF 101. TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing. It is a way that municipalities can take tax revenues, and the tax revenues would be real estate taxes created by new development, and use those tax revenues to help to finance the public infrastructure that's required. So for Harbor Point in 2013, we secured the approval of $107 million in tax increment financing, and I will back up for a moment to the site plan that we showed at the outset. So all of the white spaces you see on there are building footprints, and all of the other spaces are essentially public infrastructure. So all of the streets, roads, sidewalks, waterfront promenade, and park spaces are all financed with that tax increment financing. That's what makes this project economically feasible. So these are just some other images of the project. This is a view looking across the to-be-built Harbor Point Connector Bridge at the end of Central Avenue. City Department of Transportation is constructing that bridge, and it'll get under construction in the second quarter of 2016 to be completed in 2017. The next project to be built on Harbor Point that Mr. Fraser referenced is the Point Street Apartments. This is 289 apartment units over approximately 20,000 feet of ground floor retail. This is a $90 million project with about $20 million in public infrastructure supporting it, so roughly about $110 million to be expended. This project is in the middle of getting started. We're pulling our permits and getting all our approvals in place. We have given the contractor, Armada Hoffler Corporation, an early release to start the groundwork, but there's plenty of contracts yet to be signed on this building, lots and lots of opportunities for Baltimore City certified MBE and WBE firms. roughly 20 to 24-month construction schedule. Construction start end of this month or beginning of November. So very current project going on right now. This is another view of the project looking from the Fells Point end of the building. Kind of showcases the ground floor retail space. This is also looking from the Fells Point side, but looking to the northwest, just north of the Morgan Stanley building where our offices are located. The next project, which will be started soon after the Point Street Apartments, is what we call the Wills Wharf Building. These are all historical names of streets and properties in Harbor Point. The Wills Wharf Building is 225,000 square feet of Class A office space, 156 hotel rooms on top of the building, about 6,000 square feet of ground floor retail, and we're looking at a construction start in the fall of 2017. So this, again, is about a $100 million project with an additional $11 million of public infrastructure supporting it. Here's some views of the project. If that doesn't look like Baltimore, we apologize.
No, it doesn't.
It kind of looks like the Bahamas, which I'm sure we all wish we were there at the moment, yes. So we're very excited about this project. It's going to be something new for Baltimore. We're about to announce publicly who our hotel partner is for this project. It'll be something new to Baltimore and certainly new to us. So these are just some views looking at what Harbor Point might look like in the future with sort of the new buildings ghosted in. Here's an aerial view looking down on approximately 6-acre waterfront park, which is part of that $107 million in public infrastructure that we'll be building. So I promised I would be brief. One thing I wanted to mention is our MBEWB goals are 27 and 10. We strive very hard to meet those goals on every project that we do. And it can be particularly difficult on the WBE side, finding Baltimore City certified WBEs that are qualified to work on projects like this. So in closing, I'll say, ladies, please go see Mr. Billups. He can help you get certified, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, indeed. Marco said, let's get certified in Baltimore City, because the Beatty development projects will only accept Baltimore City certification because of the local TIF. Next, I'd like to bring up a representative from our, I would say, the greatest casino that we have in Baltimore City. The Horseshoe has brought tremendous opportunities to this town as far as employment and the tax base that comes back. And here we have Ms. Shakira Garcia, who is the Supplier Diversity Coordinator of the Horseshoe Baltimore, to deliver some comments. Shakira.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Wayne for inviting me here today. I'm very excited to be here and share our program with you guys. So he's already introduced me, so we'll skip over all of that stuff. I want to give you a little bit of background on the Horseshoe Casino. Horseshoe Baltimore is part of Caesars Entertainment, and I also wanted to mention again, although Wayne already did, that Bridget Carter is also here with us today. She flew all the way in just to be with you guys today as well. So we are part of the largest gaming corporation and a part of Caesars, so we are one of 52 casinos across 5 continents. Our code of commitment, which is one of the reasons why I chose to come to Caesars, is very important to us. And it encompasses not only our guests, our employees, but also our community and the environment in which we reside. For you guys today, probably one of the most important pieces of that is our community. It's very, very important for us to be stewards of the community in which we reside. Yep, there we go. So, our supplier diversity program is a company-wide initiative. We definitely have a top-down approach, which Bridget being here today is definitely a sign of, and one of the reasons why I love this company. We actually have our program in practice in all of our properties. Irregardless of any state or local mandates, supplier diversity is important to us. We have clear policies and established roles and responsibilities. My role, which is most important to all of you, is basically I am the liaison between you, the small and minority businesses, and our supplier and procurement processes. We also have, which is very important to us as well, a mentoring program where we're very interested in taking local businesses from the local level and doing business with the Horseshoe Baltimore and taking you to a national level. So as we identify suppliers and firms that we work with locally, we, wherever possible, put them into our mentoring program to take them to a national level, and in the hopes that they can gain national contracts. This is one of the programs that we're most proud of. Our tools and resources that we use, we're committed to providing and using tools to streamline our procurement practices through the use of our database. And when we get to the steps on how you can become a supplier with a Horseshoe, I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. But we also use Ariba as our procurement system. We also are very, very invested in measuring success. Not only do we report our successes and our numbers to our regulators, but we also internally track and highlight our efforts towards supplier diversity. And finally, external engagement is also very important to us. Just as I'm here today, I definitely spend most of my time going out and meeting new businesses and working within the community to spread our message. So we'll go on to, how do you become a supplier for the Horseshoe? We actually, one of the things that we don't require, but we highly suggest, is to become MDOT certified. That is a requirement of our licensing agreement. It's not something that Caesars necessarily needs. We do actually consider all certifications when we're looking to do business with diverse suppliers. We do ask that you register in our database, which is Connexus. Again, to highlight the fact that company-wide, this is something that we're very interested in doing. All of our registrants in Connexus are viewable by all of our Caesars properties. We also ask that you would familiarize yourself with Ariba.com, which is our procurement system that we use. And that's how you get paid, so it's pretty important that you know how to use that. And finally, what you need to do is keep in contact with me. After the presentation's over, the last slide actually has my contact information on it, but I'll be sticking around for lunch so that I can give you my business card and we can talk a little bit more about what you need to do. What's most important, and actually it's not on here, but what's most important if you're interested in doing business with the casino is to, aside from the other 4 things that I mentioned, is to be prepared. We do run a pretty fast-paced business. We have contracts. However, things change all of the time. So the best thing that you can do is take all of the steps ahead of time before possibility arises of you being able to do business with us. But our new suppliers, what we do look at, financial stability and credit strength, strong references and industry experience. Although we realize we're new, the casino industry is slightly new. We're not the first one in the area. However, outside experience is fine as well. Electronic capability, certification and licensing, competitive pricing, superb quality, and excellent service, and adequate warranty, insurance, and bonding, which varies based on, what type of work you're looking to do for us. Our sourcing process, as I said, is everything set and it's very structured. So basically, prior to or once you have given me all of the things that I need and you've registered, we will identify any casino needs, conduct an RFP, evaluate the submitted proposals, and then contract for goods and services. Some of the types of goods and services that we are always looking for, of course, food and beverage, that's a big one for us, general equipment and machinery and supplies, marketing and promotional services, engineering and facilities needs, furniture, fixtures, equipment, operating inventories and supplies, retail, and construction contracting, A&E, and general contractors as well. So there is my contact information. And again, I wanted to thank you for giving me a few minutes just to share with you what we offer. I do look forward to speaking with most of you in the room. And thank you very much.
What's great about this opportunity that's coming up, Maryland Live is about to break ground on a new hotel that they're going to build, a $130 million hotel down in Anne Arundel County. Well, now Horseshoe is in discussions in doing a similar thing here in Baltimore City because they realize that they want to keep folks here. Next, I'd like to bring up an individual who is doing wonderful philanthropic things here in the city in dealing with our K through 12 young ladies. I met her, and when she discussed her mission, what she was doing to help develop these young women, Pat and I was simply just bitten at that point. I'd like to bring up Kimberly Klasick, representing Women Gaining Independence, and she is the founder and executive director of Potential Me. Kim?
Good morning. I first want to thank both Wayne and Pat Fraser for allowing me to have this opportunity to talk to you. The image before you tells us a very long story. The image before you is the image most Americans have of Baltimore. The children in this image, we can assume, lack guidance, respect, self-discipline, adult supervision, and worst of all, empathy and fear. The bad news, unfortunately, this image does represent many of today's youth within the city limits, especially West Baltimore. The good news, we can change this image, but it will take providing guidance, a few lessons in respect, being disciplinarians, supervising, and most of all, patience and love. Okay. Like Wayne told you, my name is Kimberly Klasick, and I am the executive director and founder of Potential Me. We assist women working towards financial independence. We work with the young women in Baltimore City Public Schools, as well as with women whom are solely raising sons, much like the young men you saw in the previous image. Goodwill Industries has grossed over $1 billion using a resale market. To maintain residual income, we sell donated clothing on eBay to support our mission. Okay, thank you. We take women shopping for career wear once a job interview is secured. Sure, some of the donated clothing are beautiful garments, but unlike organizations such as Dress for Success, we believe going shopping and choosing her very own style provides her with confidence she needs to seal the deal. Another benefit to this shopping trip, some women are learning for the first time what is appropriate career wear. With this business model, we are proud to announce that we have a 100% success rate thus far. Absolutely every career recipient was hired for the desired position. We do what it takes to achieve the end goal, which sometimes include resume building and teaching soft skills. We also award prom packages to young women with good grades, perfect attendance, and goals in place outlining what her plans are post-high school graduation. We support those going to college, the military, trade school, and the workforce. Sorry, I'm horrible at this. We also hire disadvantaged women. It only takes about a 5th grade education to sort inventory and upload on eBay. We hire those coming out of incarceration, those in shelters, rehabilitation, and those without any work experience or high school diplomas. Potential Me pays above minimum wage and encourages all to continue education while working, so hopefully one day they can work in companies such as yours. Potential Me has hopes of being a 24-hour facility. eBay never closes, allowing women more options in shifts so they can continue their education at any time. Thank you. The fun part of my job, making over prom recipients like this one. This is Shay. If you have the handouts there, she actually made the handouts as well for today. She grew up in a 2-bedroom row home with 8 people, grandma barely making ends meet. And I'm very happy and proud of her because she graduated last year as a valedictorian, securing a scholarship at Morgan State. But the best part about it is she finally realizes her self-worth. And that you can see as you spend time with her. Now, this is a horrible clip because I made it with my 4S, so don't laugh at me. But I just want to show you, I want to show you a little bit about, we have motivational speakers that come into the Baltimore City Public Schools, and I just wanted to show you just a clip of one. Hopefully it works. It's not going through? All right, we'll skip over that. But it was of Officer Dwayne Williams. He's a Baltimore City police officer. And I chose it because the kids were actually engaged in what he was saying. He grew up in West Baltimore himself, and he was just telling them how he was able to overcome. He didn't go to the streets like the rest of his friends. He decided to do the right thing, and they were all paying attention, so it was nice to see. So I say Baltimore's youth does need help, but every child needs the following: exposure, a boost of confidence, role models, at least one goal, tools, positive reinforcement, and tough love. There are definitely ways to get involved. You can donate your time. You can come and be a motivational speaker at some of the schools if you wish. And then I say take someone else's kid to work day. Because we all know take your own kid to work day, but sometimes, you know, it's nice to take someone else's kid that might not have that opportunity to see what you see on a daily basis. Donating your clothes, we take anything because it's eBay, so anything sells. You can schedule a pickup or drop off at any time. We're on Charles and 25th Street. You can schedule a corporate clothing drive. We are a 501c3, so your company actually does get credit for it as well. And you can donate monetary gifts, of course, and of course we would love for you to pass it on to anyone else. Thank you.
Please stay with me for a second, Kim.
Okay.
Step out. MWMCA is proud that we found you. And we'd like to offer you a donation of $500 on behalf of MWMCA for your good works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank
And
you.
we're proud because we're a Baltimore City-based business, and this is helping our Baltimore City youth. I'd like to acknowledge an individual before bringing up our next speaker, who we feel will deserve the honor of the Women Business Enterprise of the Year when we have our May 13th annual spring breakfast in 2016. And we want to recognize this person, the WBE construction owner, and her name is Dolores McKinney. She is the owner of Intimates, which has been in business since 1998 and for 17 years. She's a general contractor. She self-performs lots of her work, including HVAC, electrical, concrete construction, and currently has, Eminence currently has a bonding capacity of 4 million single and 15 million aggregate. Dolores, please stand. Marco, you said you need some WBEs. She's a WBE. She's ready to go. Next, I'd like to bring up the spokesperson for the Baltimore City School Construction Program, who will give you an update on this exciting program that Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake created. Ms. Carmina Perez-Fowler, who is the Assistant Vice President at the Maryland Stadium Authority, who will provide you with the update. Come on now.
Thank you so much. Well, good morning. And again, Wayne and Pat, thank you so much for having us participate in this meeting. As Wayne and the mayor indicated, there's an amazing program going on right now where MSA is going to issue up to $1.1 billion in bonds to basically renovate or replace Baltimore City's public schools. It is an amazing program. It started by an act in the 2013 General Assembly and established a 4-agency partnership to implement this program. Maryland Stadium Authority is one of the members, Baltimore City Public Schools, Baltimore City Government, and the IAC, or Interagency Committee on School Construction. Right click? Oh, okay. Oh. Okay. Having some technical difficulties. So again, currently, we are in the midst of year 1 phase. There are 10 schools currently in design phase, all kinds of phases in design. 2 of them are about to start the construction phase. I'm going to just give you a brief overview of the schools in year 1 and just give you sort of an update of what's going on in terms of the other set of schools that are going to be renovated or replaced. Again, there's 10 schools in year 1, and the way MSA and city schools have procured these contracts, and by the way, all these contracts have MBE participation goals. They follow the state MBE program. Last year, we developed a pool of A&E firms, construction management firms, commissioning and design inspection firms. And basically, in each school, we issue a request for proposals, and we select the A&E CM commission agent or test and inspection firm through an RFP process within the pool. So each school has a different team, and we think that that is great because, again, it increases the participation by both by firms, by MBE firms, and they're pretty significant projects. Just to give you an example, there are 2 projects right now that are in the final design stage, and they're actually starting the construction phase, is the Frederick renovation with addition and the Fort Worthington replacement. As you can tell, they're both pretty significant projects. The construction phase for both schools is a 32% overall MBE participation goal, a 7% African American sub-goal, and a 4% Asian sub-goal. Those projects will be advertised. The construction is going to be starting to advertise. You can check eMaryland Marketplace, you can check MSA's website, or you can also look at the 21st Century Schools Program's website. There'll be information about the pre-qualification process for these 2 projects. But again, we have 10 other schools. We have Lyndhurst. Again, there's a different, A&E CM team. We have Joni Gere Howard, Robert Poole, another project. Yes, right. That's probably the biggest one in year 1. We have Arundel, Cherry Hill, Forest Park, Arlington, Pimlico. So those are the year 1 schools. Again, there's tons of opportunities for the construction phase. Again, only 2 schools just about to start the construction phase. So you're in any kind of type of trade that relates to construction, please contact me. Again, they all have MBE goals. We're really seeking minority and small businesses and local businesses to participate in these projects. So again, my contact information is on the last slide. And again, we are welcome. We're here to serve. We're here to help you understand the process and participate in the process. So all those schools are about to come into construction. So within 12 months, you're going to have 10 schools full into construction in that year 1. At the same time, we're now procuring for year 2 feasibility studies. So there are about 50 more schools who are going to be, again, we're going to start the process again. We're going to start, right now we're procuring for the feasibility study phase, and after the feasibility study phase, and then we're going to then procure and open the pool again. So any firms here who do A&E, construction management, commissioning services, or test and inspection, we're basically open a 3-month process for each one to basically come up with the firms who could act as primes. And there's been a lot of joint ventures that have happened between MBE firms and other firms. So we again encourage you to participate in this process, because once this be the pool that actually going to be directing the architectural design and construction of the Year 2 schools. Again, there's about 15 more schools coming in the pipeline, and it's a lot of opportunities. And we want to make sure that, we reach out, that everybody feels that they can have a fair participation in our process. We follow, again, the MB program guidelines, so all those requirements do apply. We also follow prevailing wage guidelines for our construction projects. So again, we're very excited about this. We're a partner, and I'm glad that, we always make sure Wayne is fully informed of what we're doing, because I know he's been key, and always throughout all my career, he's been a strong and a wonderful advocate for the minority and small business community. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you, Carmita. It's a lot going on in Baltimore City Public Schools. And again, it's not just construction, but it's also the design inside. All of the schools will have to buy new lockers, new gym equipment, new this, new that. Everything's new. So it's just a tremendous opportunity, not only for the kids, but for us as minority businesses to take advantage of. Next, I'd like to bring up my banker. PNC Bank. Make no bones about it, PNC Bank is the best bank. The best bank in America, not just here in Baltimore. Ramsey, Mr. Ramsey L. Harris, who is the Vice President of PNC Bank in the Greater Maryland market in Baltimore. Ramsey, come on up.
We did not pay Wayne to say that, by the way. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I know I'm right before lunch, so I'm going to be brief. Paul Terry and I sit next to each other. He is up after me with the Small Business Resource Center. We said we'll just take 5 minutes apiece because we're right before lunch, and I'm the grandson of a preacher, and so I know that I need to consolidate. Can I get an amen there? But we are really excited to be here. We want to thank Wayne and Pat Frazier and their wonderful staff, and on behalf of my colleagues and our executives at PNC Bank. We are excited about the initiatives that we've got going on to proactively assist small minority and women-owned business enterprises. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here. I'm not only the grandson of a preacher, but my grandfather, all jokes aside, he was a small business owner, and that's how I was raised. I was raised by a man who worked hard day in and day out, running multiple business endeavors and ventures, and I knew upon going into college that I wanted to be a part of the banking industry, because seeing my grandfather secure his first loan, it was a 30-year loan, and he had guaranteed back in the, I think it was 60s or 70s, he guaranteed the bank there that he'd pay that loan in half the time, and seeing him work hard and his team work hard to pay it off in 13 years as opposed to 15 years, I knew I wanted to be the guy on the other side of the business table to be able to assist and empower small businesses, minority businesses, women-owned businesses to have the same opportunity to follow their dreams, their visions, their aspirations, their business goals and endeavors. And that's what we are looking to do as a bank here at PNC. We're looking to help. We care about, next slide, small business, minority and women business enterprises, so much to the point that we are proactively looking for ways to assist with our banking solutions. I'm all over the place attending any type of particular networking event that I can attend, and looking for ways to find those MBEs, those WBEs that are looking for capital, that are looking for a bank that actually cares, that they feel that cares about them, because there's the stigma, there's a stereotype that in the economy that we're in, that banks are not lending, banks are not really interested in the smaller guys, and I'm here to tell you that on behalf of PNC, that is absolutely not the case. We really do want to assist small business enterprises, MBEs and WBEs, and I won't call anybody to the podium, Wayne, but I see some of my customers in the audience, and somebody can testify that we mean business, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're committed to this. Our chief economist, Stuart Hoffman, recently, with his team, conducted a survey, a poll of quite a few MBEs and WBEs in the region, and we uncovered that through our economic outlook that there's a bright side. There is a paradigm shift, if you will. There's a turning of the tide. There's a reason to be optimistic as a small business owner in the economy that we're in, and PNC wants to be a part of that. We want to be a part of helping small businesses to rise and to achieve and to pursue their financial dreams and their aspirations and goals. So we are very much committed to this. Today I brought with me three of my banking colleagues, and I'll ask them to stand because we want to be able to shake the hands of each and every one of you today before you leave, pass out our business cards, and let you know what we're all about, and setting up an appointment with you to talk about our commitment and our capabilities. And Eric Rosenberg is in the audience. Could you stand, Eric? We appreciate you. He's a business banking relationship manager here in the Baltimore region. Bram Berlin, we appreciate you, Bram, for being with us. Business banking relationship manager in the Baltimore region. And Chris Nixon all the way in the back. Say hello to my fellow light-skinned brother. And he heads up our commercial banking region here in Baltimore. And so we've got the team, we're on the ground, we've got the capability. We've passed out some literature for your read and leisure because my time is almost up and I don't have time to go into it. But our approach to market, this is our approach, it's our brand. It's often duplicated and imitated, but PNC created it. It is our cash flow optimized banking approach. We want to be your CFO. We want to be your financial advisor, your banking expert, to consultatively help you to get through the various stages of the business sales cycle. And so we want to help you in ways that differentiate us in the marketplace, again, via our commitment and our care for MBEs and WBEs. If you look in the literature that's being passed out, we've got 5 ways that we do that, and all of these points are very much relevant and very much apropos to the conversation this afternoon, because as business owners, what's important to you is important to us. We understand that the acceleration of receivables, helping you to get money, helping you get the cash, the compensation from your clients in a timely and efficient manner is important. We want to do that for you. We want to help you with solutions to make that happen. We want to help you improve the way that you pay, the way that you pay your bills, your payment practices, even if it's down to ensuring that, and this is my philosophy, every business owner should have a credit card, but that credit card should work to your advantage and not to your disadvantage. And I won't go into the specific details of what we've got going on there, but if you talk to me afterwards, we've got some really creative solutions to get credit cards in the hands of every small business owner, and we're putting a serious promotion behind that. We want to help you to monitor and project cash in the technological age that we're in. If you're not computer savvy, if you're not taking advantage of the technology that banks should be affording you, we want to talk to you about how we can, at little to no cost, help you to kind of be your own bookkeeper. And to the CPAs in the room, we don't want to take away from you, but we want to assist you in helping your clients to be more efficient in monitoring and projecting their cash flow. We want to help you to pursue your financial well-being. So what happens to you after you? Do you have a successor in place? Are you planning for retirement? And then ultimately, and this is, I'm sure, on the top of mind, and according to our economic outlook survey and Stuart Hoffman, our chief economist, the statistics show that small business owners are still looking for that extra capital, that small line of credit, that working capital to help with short-term expenses, to help with inventory purchases, to help get you from pay cycle to pay cycle, especially the contractors in the room that, you're waiting on payment from some of the governmental entities. We want to help you to secure that lending solution so that you can take your business to that next level and not be at a standstill during those times where you need working capital the most. And I'll leave my contact information up on the next slide here. Can I just page down? I did that. Okay, thank you. You can call me at 410-843-0163, ramsey.harris@pnc.com. Please talk with me, talk with one of my fellow banking colleagues after the forum today. And we're just excited to be here to be a partner with Wayne's phenomenal organization. And we didn't, again, pay him to tell you guys that we are the bank, but we really do put the work behind our words. So looking forward to setting up appointments with you all, and we wish you all success in your business endeavors, and go Ravens.
Yes. Ramsey and PNC has helped secure lines of credit for as little as $20,000 to as much as $6 million. And that means an awful lot when you have a bank that's going to be right there when you need them. Our final speaker of this morning is, I thought I saw Miss Grace Deno in the audience. Grace, please stand up. Grace is one of the, you've been here all morning? Oh, okay. She's all the way from Rockville, Montgomery County. She's been a tremendous friend to women and minority businesses and is ensuring that our businesses get a fair shake in Montgomery County. Thank you, Grace. Next, I'd like to bring up our final speaker this morning, Mr. Paul Taylor, the Executive Director of the City of Baltimore Small Business Resource Center. And Paul will provide you with insight on where to go and find out information on all of these projects that are taking place in Baltimore City. Paul?
Okay, good morning, everyone. Ramsey say good. By the way, didn't he sound like a preacher? If I closed my eyes, I think I would have heard a preacher jumping up. So I just as disclosure, I am the son of a preacher, so I get it. So anyway, I'm Paul Taylor, and I'm Executive Director for the Small Business Resource Center. We provide technical assistance to small businesses. So if you are trying to grow your business, you want to know a little bit more about navigating the city of Baltimore and where to get contract opportunities, want to make sure that you get in contact with Kamasi and DPW and all the other places that work is coming from in Baltimore, we can help you with that. I thought I'd do, Wayne asked me something the other day, and I thought I would do something a little bit different. So there are some tools in Baltimore that can help you find out about contract opportunities in Baltimore. Oh, by the way, that photograph right there, I did that. You like that picture? Yeah, I did that. Just had to show that. So there's an interactive tool in Baltimore that was created in 2010. And part of what the mayor was talking about having the ability to find out about contracts and find out about opportunities, the city has done a lot of that work online. And so the Econ View is a resource that you can find out about every, not every, but most of the contract opportunities that are going on in Baltimore. Every dot that you see on that map of Baltimore City is a project at some level that's going on, and it's been GIS mapped, and you can see details of who and what that contractor is. The easiest way to get to it is to just go to Google and put Baltimore Econ View, and you'll be able to get right to it. You can get to it through Baltimore City's website also. It's a little bit more challenging to navigate. The participating agencies on that are Baltimore City Department of Planning. So at the planning level, you'll actually see projects that are in planning that they're talking about. That may not even have gone through all of the permit stages yet, but it's on its way. You'll also see information from Baltimore Housing. You'll also see information from Department of Recreation and Parks, Baltimore City Department of Transportation, the Baltimore Development Corporation, Downtown Partnership, and you'll also see the Office of Promotion. There are other agencies that are coming online, so make sure that you go there and take a look at that. The city wants this to be interactive, so they're also looking for you to respond back to them. If you see things on there or you find it difficult to navigate, let those city agencies know, or actually you have a comment page on here and you'll be able to go back and get some information. So how it works is, just as I said, if you click on any of those dots, you'll actually get a little bullet that will come up and it will actually show you information about a particular project. So again, this is the map. Then you can zoom in. As you zoom in, you'll be able to look at neighborhoods, communities, and you'll see different commercial, residential, institutional projects that are going on in Baltimore City. Here's a project that has been completed over at Madison Avenue. Just to see, when you click on the button again, you'll see this information. Here's a blown up view of that, 301 West Madison Avenue. It was a $17 million project that happened, and it was actually closed in fall, completed in the fall. Here are other projects that are happening in Baltimore City, 605 Park Avenue. Just again, a tool that you can look at both public and private projects that are happening in Baltimore City. Here's a project that is just in the wings, that is being planned. There's something called TOD, Transit-Oriented Development, that is being looked at in Baltimore City for communities like right over here off of Cold Spring, off of Wabash and Cold Spring. So these are, again, projects that are, some of them that are just being talked about, thought about, that are being put out here in public for you to take a look at, to comment. Reason why I'm telling you this is because if you track this information, if you see these projects and you begin to track them, you can see when these projects are coming down the pike, and it won't be a surprise when you see it in the Daily Record or the Baltimore Business Journal, because by then things have been decided. You can look at these kinds of projects and start to track this activity early on. There are projects that you'll see there that you may not see an image because, again, it's so early in the stage that there may not be an image, but you'll see some detailed information about this. This is on Mulberry Street, 68 units. It's already under construction and should open soon if it hasn't. I think it actually may have been open, but it's on its way. So here's just another image of a project that is happening here in Baltimore. Here's another one, 501 West Franklin, that's going on. Again, this is from the housing department that's happening in Baltimore. We've got some projects that are just simply RFPs that are right now on Baltimore Development's site. Baltimore Development, by the way, is the agency that puts out these RFPs for, in particular, city-owned properties that may require complete rehabilitation, and so these are projects that they put out there, and these can be found on Baltimore Development Corporation's website. That's baltimoredevelopment.com, and you can find out a lot about projects that are, again, coming up that may be in the RFP stage that you can go and bid on. Here's another project that is slated for loft apartments in downtown Baltimore, $13 million project. And it will give you information. For the most part, some of them you don't have all of the information. Here's one that is being offered by the state of Maryland through the biopark on the west side. So you see here there's a planned project. It is a private development, so it's not necessarily something that the city or the state's doing, but it is a private development that's going on in that catchment area, $200 million project. Here's one that is happening in Baltimore. It's probably going to be opening in spring of 2016. It's a 103-room extended stay hotel. So I just wanted to give you a flavor for what is available for you to see on the site, both public, private, institutional development opportunities, projects that have significant or even some smaller residential projects that are going on in Baltimore City. So I'm going to stop here. Again, this is the website where you can actually go and find the information. It is something that I think can help prepare some of the developers and some of you guys to look at projects before they happen, and so you can get a sense of what's going on. If you look around Baltimore City and you see, you should get this on your phone, because if you go around Baltimore and you see a crane going up someplace, you probably can find it here and kind of find out what's going on. All right, and you can find out who's engaged in it, what agencies engaged with it, and get more information about it. I hope that helped you, and I'll be available for questions also. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
If you're a business owner and you want to earn more money out of your business and you want to work less, if you're the typical business owner that's working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, I have a program. It's our Accelerator program. It's from the Small Business Development Center at the University of Maryland. And 2/3 of the tuition is being paid by our corporate sponsors. We have one in the room, Theo from Bank of America is one of our corporate sponsors. But Capital One Bank, for MBEs that want to attend the Largo or Columbia session, is completely at no cost. They're funding all of the tuition. So if you want to earn more out of your business and you want to work less and build it to sell it, I have a program for you. So I have a flyer. Thank you.
Well, let's adjourn the meeting.